Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today is the start of part 2 for Marguerite's trousseau. Now there's several little items and elements I just wanted to make to add to her collection. Some of these items are gifts that she's going to receive at her bridal shower, and then other items will be things that she brings back from her honeymoon as souvenirs. Now here I'm just making a quick little lamp. I had some beads that I thought were pretty and I thought they would go together, and I definitely thought it would make a beautiful pre-wedding gift for Marguerite. Now I want you to take note that this is a non-working lamp. It's just pretty. Everything doesn't have to be functional, dolls, because for some things their whole purpose is to just be beautiful. Now as I began to pull together some things I had for Marguerite, there was this little wooden heart that was connected to one of the wedding items I received in one of my wedding decoration bundles, and I thought it would look really cute to look like an actual box of chocolate candy for Marguerite. And although it's not Valentine's Day, I can imagine while they're traveling, they stopped at a gift shop, and Sadi would not be able to resist buying his new wife a box of heart-shaped chocolate candy. So I added the little sticky back velvet to the little heart, and then I added glue around the perimeter and a little piece of satin ribbon. Really helped to make it look finished and as though it was a closed box of chocolates rather than a wooden heart. And after I got done wrapping the satin ribbon around the perimeter, I was really pleased at the overall look. So then I started to think of ways that I could decorate it and make it look really authentic with some more details. It was clear I needed to allow that thought to simmer. So I went on to pull together some gifts that Marguerite will definitely be getting for her shower, and I even pulled out her trunk so that I could fill it with some of the wonderful things that she'll be taking with her on her honeymoon. Now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the video about how I make the steamer trunks, I will leave a link in the description. But I'm actually moving around all the original items that I created for Marguerite previously to make room for the new things that I've created specifically for her to take on her honeymoon. And it's really funny, I didn't realize how many things I created until I started pulling things together for this video. At this point, I'm not sure if everything will even fit in her little trunk. She may need extra luggage. And right while I was trying to fit in and organize things that I already had created, I got another idea. I found a tulip-shaped lampshade and a little bead, and together they look like a vase. I think that'll look really pretty among Marguerite's things or even on her dressing table. Now, this is a very special brooch that was made by Jolene from Tiny Keyhole Minis. It has a lovely tiny little magnet, and I'm trying to design Marguerite's wedding dress so that she can wear the brooch on her wedding day. It's an heirloom from her grandmother, so it's very, very precious. I thought it was so very thoughtful that Jolene also created Marguerite a tiny bottle of purple nail polish where it even opens. Look at that. Look how perfect and tiny that is. That'll be another lovely accessory on her dressing table as well. Now this little Raggedy Ann doll I'm going to use as a tiny keepsake to be among her things in her trunk. I truly love the idea that the corset and the little doll will be in the same trunk. The funniest part about all of this is that I literally am having as much fun packing for Marguerite as if I was packing for myself. Now here are several of those lovely little silk hangers that I made for her in a previous video, and I will leave a link in the description if you missed that video as well. And I also made her some tiny slippers. I'd actually made them a while back and they were pretty plain, but I used a tiny clipping from my favorite lace, and I really think it made them really, really cute and a lot more feminine. Now here's another tiny frame that I made from a broken belt buckle, and I added a few flowers along the edge. Oops, I have the other tiny bouquet inside. I was going to save this for Miss Betty, but I think I'm going to save it and allow Marguerite to throw it at her reception, and then allow Miss Betty to catch it. And here's that tiny lamp that I made in the beginning of the video. I think that'll definitely be a lovely gift for her to receive at her shower. And it's happening again, dolls. I'm playing and organizing things, but I'm getting new ideas right while I'm playing. I need to go ahead and glue these two beads together before I forget why I had them in here. But let me stay focused on the task at hand. Now I've got these pretty little blue gloves. They're actually made of some type of resin cast. And I really think they would look cute in a box, so they would look more like a gift that she received at her shower. But for now, I'm going to just tuck it there so I'll know where it is. Now, this is a small hinged box that I made earlier in the channel. I will leave a link in the description of when I made it, but I made several tiny boxes. And I absolutely love making little personal things for the dolls because when I explore who they are, it really helps me to know what else I need to make. And this was literally made with some scrap wood and a broken earring. Now I know everybody doesn't like dolls, but my dolls are the reason I create everything I make. They actually inspire me on what to make and create based on what they need or what they want. Now this lovely journal was given to me by Jolene from Tiny Keyhole Minis. This was part of a gift bundle she gave me when she gave me the lovely fans for the dress shop. Marguerite is really going to appreciate that because her journal is quite old and it's filled with memories from her childhood and adolescent years. So I definitely think it's appropriate that now she has a new journal for the beginning of her new life as a young wife. So I've pondered long enough and I've decided to go ahead and turn that little bead into a vase. I need to go ahead and glue those two beads together before I misplace them and not know where they are, or move on to something else and forget the idea. But I think tucked inside that little bead, it looks like a really cute vase. Now I found those boxes that my friend Renee gave me to put the house shoes in, and I'm just going to stash a few of Marguerite's mementos in this box because if anybody understands or knows, when you're sentimental, you kind of have lots of little trinket boxes with all kinds of things in them. So yeah, Marguerite's the same way. And dolls, what I'm trying to do is kind of condense everything so it'll all fit, so Sadi won't have so many packages to carry when they leave for their honeymoon. Oh, and dolls, here are Sadi's things. His things will fit very neatly inside his luggage. He doesn't have much to take with him, so his luggage is not the problem. Oh, now here's another tiny little box that I made, and I created the lid by just adding a piece of ribbon around the rim of a small square piece of wood, and the lid fits perfectly on that tiny box. Now back to this little Valentine box I had. I just really wanted it to be really, really pretty. I considered using this coin-shaped heart that I have to make another Valentine, but let me focus on what I was doing. Now I'm just adding a few of the little hangers into the hat box, and again, that was a hat box I made from paper a while back. The way things are looking, Sadi might actually need a wagon. At this moment, I can hardly believe how many things I've made and how many things I've been given for Marguerite to take with her. Now, this is the little lunch basket that I made in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, I will leave a link in the description. And I definitely had to make sure that Marguerite had a few family pictures among her things. So dolls, let's go ahead and get this little Valentine together. So I considered putting a little rose, and then I considered a little ribbon, and then I tried out some other flowers. And this is another moment, dolls, where I'm just playing. I really don't know what I'm going to do. I just want the little Valentine to look realistic among Marguerite's things. And dolls, I literally just played around with several little scrap pieces of lace and findings until I saw something that I liked. And I finally came up with a little design with some little spare pieces of what are you keeping that for lace, and trimmed it down so that it would fit the surface of the little heart. And then I tried out a couple different options for something to anchor the whole look. And I thought this looked really pretty, and I'm going to consider that for my second heart. But for this one, I really wanted to use that little red rose. So when my decision was solid to use the little rose in the center, I went ahead and added a little rubbing buff to make it look a little bit glammy, and then I added glue to the back of the pieces of lace and secured it gently to the surface of the little heart. And when I was done adding all three pieces of the lace, I anchored the entire look with the rose in the center. Now, even though it doesn't open, it looks like the perfect box of chocolates. Now that we've got almost all of Marguerite's things packed and ready to go, let's go ahead and see what's happening among the dolls since Sadi got back. Now, if you remember in episode 16, Sadi returned home after leaving town to go over to the county to apply for their marriage license. And since he returned, him and Marguerite have been inseparable. Although they've been very busy planning the wedding, the family and the community have been watching the young couple very closely and chaperoning their every move to make sure they behave appropriately until they're husband and wife. Meanwhile, back at the dress shop, Aunt Bess and Aunt Janie have gotten so many new deliveries of the spring-summer merchandise. They've gotten wedding dress samples, lace, silks, fans, display fixtures, and they've hardly had time to unpack anything with all the planning for the wedding and with all the business they've had at the dress shop for people preparing for the wedding. So they've been up early and working late trying to get things on the shelves and ready for the new displays. The dress shop is really gaining notoriety and popularity among the community. The chatter among the women, even several towns over, is that everybody wants to be best dressed. Just then, Marva and Marguerite walked in the shop, and Aunt Janie was so excited because there was a beautiful piece of lace that she had set aside to show to Marguerite so she could determine whether she wanted to use it for her new dress. Marguerite was just so amazed by all the beautiful samples that had come in for wedding dresses, and she was really starting to get excited about the ceremony now. She had been afraid and nervous and concerned about all the responsibility and duties of being a new wife. But now that Sadi's back, she doesn't care about any of that. She just knows that she wants to be with him. And it was such a beautiful thing to see that love had overcome all of Marguerite's fears, and that now she was really happy and excited about being a new bride. So that day, Marguerite and her mother spent the rest of the day with Aunt Janie, getting her measurements, picking lace, satin, silk, bows, ribbons, pearls, beading. The selection and the options were endless. By the end of business that day, Aunt Bess had unpacked all of her lovely things for the summer and spring collection. Well, almost everything. She still had a few fans in the box, but the majority of the lovely things were on the display table, replacing the things that had previously been there. Aunt Bess was really excited about the growth of the shop and all the business they'd had. The dress shop had only been open about 6 months, and Aunt Bess is already thinking about expanding. Back at the rooming house, Pop and Miss Betty were making some pretty serious plans of their own, but they decided not to say anything until after Marguerite and Sadi were married. On the second floor, the men were planning all the work they had to do, and then they got a surprise. Grandpa had given the men of the community his most cherished tool set. He has so many tools and everything the men would need for all their projects around the houses, and he realizes that he won't be using those tools like he did when he was younger. Rather than allowing them to rust in his shed, he gave them to the men of the community. The tool chest just arrived, and he surprised the men on the second floor so that they would have it conveniently located where they'd be doing most of their work. Grandpa feels very proud because all the young men are very impressed with his collection. The men were also very impressed by how sturdy and strong the tool chest is. In spite of its age, it's in excellent condition. All the men of the community thanked Grandpa for his kindness and generosity and assured him that they would put everything to good use. All of the men are really excited because now they can get more work done now that they don't have to share tools. After oohing and ahhing over all the wonderful tools and the tool chest, the young men began to move the furniture out of the room so they could begin work on Sadi and Marguerite's new bedroom. They have to ensure that it's ready so that when they come back from their honeymoon, everything will be all set up for them. And they also have the task of finishing the hallway outside of Marguerite and Sadi's room and the bathroom. This project has been put off way too long. Soon the rooming house bathroom will finally be finished. It was finally the day for Marguerite's bridal shower, and the ladies of the community came together so wonderfully to give her everything she'd need for her honeymoon and things to start off her new life as a married woman. Marguerite received so many wonderful things. She was absolutely overwhelmed by the generosity and love from the community. But the moment that stood out to Marguerite and everyone else in the room was when Aunt Bess presented Marguerite with a beautiful purple fan. Purple was Marguerite's favorite color. The moment was so touching and precious because although Aunt Bess wears a really big smile, she's pretty stern and serious. And also because Aunt Bess gave Sadi and Marguerite a pretty hard time when they first started liking each other. As Marguerite accepted the fan, Aunt Bess let her know that there was no cost to her to make her dress and that her fabric, lace, and all the trimmings had already been paid for by a collection from all the ladies of the rooming house. At this point, Marguerite was just a bundle of tears. Miss Maisie was so pleased and satisfied she didn't know what to do. and Violet was feeling very good that her and Albert had supported the couple in their early days of their courtship. After accepting and admiring the fan, her tears quickly turned to blushing when her mother and Aunt Charlotte handed her a corset and other delicate, beautiful things to wear on her honeymoon. As Marguerite blushed, all the other ladies laughed and giggled, and very soon Marguerite would know what all the laughing and giggling was all about.